do one?
Yes, sir. What?
Always have to do one of these to start the show.
Well, you do what you got to do to
Introduce
keep a streak
us,
alive.
Gabe.
That's right. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you back inside the TexAgs studio. It is the 13th episode of Looch Bock TexAgs. I am your host, Gabe Bock, joined each week by Uncle Billy, the source, Billy Liucci. And we're live every Wednesday, high noon, texags.com/live, the TexAgs YouTube channel, and of course, the podcast platform of your preference. Search Looch Bock and subscribe to the podcast Looch Bock, presented by Bock Realty Group. Luxury, new construction, first-time home buying, investment, real estate, and more. BRG, a two-time Aggie 100 company. Email me, Gabe at BockRealtyGroup.com. Bock Realty Group, turning our experience into your advantage. The third-ranked Aggies did the unthinkable in not beating South Carolina, but it's how you beat South Carolina to get to 10-0 for the first time in 33 years. And what a way to do it. Down 30-3 and overcoming that halftime deficit with 28 unanswered points in the second half. A&M 31, South Carolina 30. In the first half, anything that could go wrong did go wrong. 2 Marcel Reed interceptions, 1 in the end zone, a Reed backwards pass that was recovered for a touchdown, a drop by one of the best sure-handed pass catchers in all of college football in Casey Concepcion. That led to a doink off the upright. You got 2 missed field goals. You couldn't have scripted a worse half of football, but then it all changed coming out of the locker room, and that is where we welcome in Billy Liucci. Billy Liucci, man, I tell you what, I would say, have you ever seen anything like that? But then I saw your post last night, and you've actually seen quite a few historic comebacks in your time in person.
I would say the closest thing look, the UCLA game was very similar.
In the inverse, right?
Yeah. So it wasn't enjoyable at all, but
no,
it was very much
like
it was very much like that Super Bowl against the Falcons, though, because
it really was.
Not that A&M is the Patriots, not that Marcel Reed is Tom Brady, but it was you're watching that game at halftime, and I'm just like, it's the Falcons. I know it's Matt Ryan, and I know they're in the Super Bowl, but it's still the Atlanta. Hold on, Nick. We're okay. Oh,
perfect.
It's still the Atlanta Falcons versus the New England Patriots and Brady and Belichick and that dynasty. And, again, I'm not making that comparison, but people around the country watching that game, whether it was my Longhorn friends, talking trash, or people in the national media that were texting me, or friends that just were like, hey, Billy's my Aggie guy, I'm texting him.
Yep.
They all thought, literally every one of them, whether they wanted it to happen or not, was like, I think A&M can still come back.
Everyone loves watching a good train wreck, right?
Yeah,
and that's what it felt like.
But as it got out to 30, that final minute of the half kind of made me go, I think they might have just lost it here.
That's right.
20-3, I was actually more than okay with.
Mm-hmm.
But it's for the reasons that I'm saying. Like, everyone knew that A&M was the better team. The question is, how deep a hole can you dig and get out of within the confines of 60 minutes?
Historically,
of football
this would indicate this is too deep.
Yeah. Never. But I went into the half, though, and I'm just sitting there going, I was beyond frustrated, right? But you're like, my thought process was simply outscore them by 14 in this third quarter, and you have a chance. 27-point deficits are never wiped out. There's a lot of football games that a 14-point fourth quarter deficit has been wiped out. So in my head, I was like, that's when I go, they can do this. My concern was I thought the offense would get going, because even in the first half, you had open receivers, you had
it was
drop passes. You had some big plays along the way, throwing the football. I thought the run game would eventually get going if you could stick to it, which they really didn't. They did a little bit. I think they ran for like 70-something yards versus -9 in the first half. So
good moments from EJ here and there.
EJ with a 17-yarder and the touchdown. But where I was struggling with it was they couldn't give up a point. Because even a field goal to make that 20, when it was 30-10, if they would even kicked a field goal, Then you have to mix in a couple of 2-point conversions, and it just gets exponentially more difficult. So the fact that defense, they had to be almost perfect on both sides of the ball that part made you feel less confident about it. This whole 14-14 thing made you feel more confident about it. But, man, the defense, I don't think it will get talked enough about because of how spectacular Marcel and the passing game were. But
it wasn't just stops, Luch. It was quick stops.
Quick stops.
The fourth down stop, the 3-and-out right after.
Now, the fourth down stop, they had a little bit of a drive. So that was a must. Like, remember Sellers scrambled on 3rd and 13? That's when or 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13, you're like, oh, come on, man.
That's right.
And he slid. That's when it felt like, if they score here and they're already kind of in field goal range, and then they got nothing.
That's right.
And then they went for it, which I thought was really
and got next
really
to
dumb.
Nothing after that until the last drive when they hit one shot.
Yeah. It was shutdown mode.
And it really was impressive.
And A&M took the field not once, remember. This is like Auburn. That same end, they had to take the field 3 times up less than a touchdown. They had to do it twice Saturday because they forced a 3-and-out and a quick punt. And then they got it back. And then they got it back. And it was, and that's what happened. What happened on that? Oh, that last drive when they got it back was the 4th down call or the 3rd down call. Yeah, so you thought it was well, what happened? Am I mixing this up here? Okay, A&M took the lead 31-30. They got it back. They went 3-and-out.
Right. And then we drove it down,
then
got it to the 1.
And did that.
And we saw the worst play we've ever seen in our life.
So what happened? What was A&M's drive? What was A&M's drive when they had the ball up 31? I think that was when Concepcion ran it back pretty far.
Yeah, so we took the lead 31-30. Then they went three plays minus 12. Those were the back-to-back sacks with Deion Hayes and Lee.
Yep.
And then they punt it.
Yep.
We go 9 plays, 36 yards, and fumble it. So that was the Jamarion Morrow.
So they just got it back one time.
And they got it back with 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
They had all kinds of time. And you're like, hey, look, quick shot, lucky shot. They're kicking a field goal to beat you.
Yeah, no, that was scary. That was dicey.
It really was.
And it wasn't like the Auburn game, Gabe, where for 60 minutes it was proven that Auburn couldn't move the ball. Right. I mean, Sellers is far more scary a proposition than Jackson Arnold was that day. And for 30 minutes, South Carolina showed they could do it. And so, it was like scramble, first down throw, 20-yard pass. Like, there it is. And
they got to the 40 as it is.
They get them to an immediate 4th down. And then Nick Harbor makes another great catch. Well, I guess he made one great catch and one great run, but makes a tremendous catch. And you're going, they're 20 yards away from attempting a game winner. They're 25, 26 yards, 27 yards away from a very makeable game winner.
You let him get loose on a little scramble?
And just dump it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if he gets outside contain. But the defense locked him up.
They really did.
First it was what? It was on Yedin. Got him.
That was huge because right after the Harbor gets hurt, and they go to like Howell or somebody for 9 yards.
Yep.
It's 2nd and 1 right there. And then on Yedin got him.
An 11-yard sack.
And then Howell goes crazy.
Cassius gets him.
Did you have a feeling Cassius would end that game? I really did.
I did too. And then, he tries to scramble, which I didn't understand what he thought he was doing there. But that's what happens when guys get put under pressure. And so I do think the defense deserves every bit as much credit as the offense in this one. But, man, that offense was fun to watch.
Man, it was so incredible. So incredible.
Marcel's 4th down run, the pass to Isaiah Williams for his first catch of the year against the comeback started.
What a play design that was.
Yeah, brilliant with him coming around. They cleared it out. It was a really nice
play. Was it ABR that cleared it out? And then ABR said he almost cried when Isaiah scored because he knows how much work he put into it for no gain necessarily.
Isaiah Williams is good.
That was awesome.
He's good, too. Like,
he's stinking good.
I hope he stays here. And I haven't heard anything about him not, but I'm just saying, like, in the day and age of the portal, like, he's bided his time where, like, next year that window opens up for him.
Amen.
With KC leaving, and they're going to need another playmaker. Now, they'll still go portal, but he's on that ABR path just a year behind. But that catch, and then he finished with 50 yards. He had 23 other yards on his 2 catches.
I thought his play over the middle was great. I thought he might score.
He's got a lot of shape to juice. Well, listen, when he got here, everyone was just as fired up about him as Ashton. It was the both of them.
Wow.
It was like those 2 guys have something. And he got hurt, I think, in fall camp before his true freshman year. I think he would have seen action.
Wow.
They've got some really good young receivers in Ashton Bethel Roman, Isaiah Williams, TK Norman. Those are 3 really good young receivers. And by the way, in theory, so is Terry Bussey. He's a true sophomore.
ABR second-year player?
Yeah, so
Bussey second-year player?
You got 3 second-year guys and a true freshman that have juice. And by the way, there's another huge play in that football game was Bussey's 4th down catch.
Oh, I'm telling you what.
Kind of did a nice job of kind of drifting, finding his way open, being in Marcel, where Marcel could hit him, and then took a weird stumble. Thank goodness he held on to it. But in the very next play, touchdown to Ashton, which was one of the better catches I've seen from an A&M receiver when you combined degree of difficulty with how much it mattered.
And the pass.
Beautiful throw.
It's 39 yards?
Yeah.
But it was like 55 yards in the air.
Yeah, and stepped up, had a guy bearing down on him.
Oh, it was one of the best throws he's ever made. Second in that game to the one to KC.
I was about to say, right up until the 4th quarter when he hit KC.
Look at that thing.
And by the way,
that's not even it.
And that long one to Bethel Roman, the 70-something yarder, where Ashton just showed off that speed, and had he not gotten just tripped up, would have housed it. But
you can't throw it any better. Look at that thing.
Look at that catch. That's just so hard to land and catch that thing in that manner.
Yeah.
Not to mention the adjustment. But
2 plays later, he dropped the 3rd down. So for him to come back and show what he was able to do
2 plays earlier. Yeah,
2 plays earlier.
And then Bussey got you.
Right.
And then that, yeah. So, yeah, and he would have run on that 3rd down, too. That was going to be, he might have scored there.
I think he would have.
So there was just so many ups and downs and but, you had the throw from Reed to KC came one play after you had a touchdown run called back.
Exactly.
40-yard touchdown run.
Which is another freaking weak call against Basantes.
I know.
Do you get penalized for being a big, strong, tough guy that's just a little bit tougher than everybody else?
Well, I don't know why you get penalized. That play is so stupid because if the guy's going to have his head down and get off balance and you just matador, he don't matador him like that, but you just matador him in front of you, and that should not be a penalty. And
he didn't grab.
And by the way, they grab all the time. So unless you're grabbing outside,
right,
that's holding. Holding is like grabbing where the guy can't get off of the block.
When you're beat and you grab.
So
this guy got pummeled.
Yeah, it was stupid.
But for Marcel to say fine.
But you get the touchdown call back. So 2 plays in that second half that were massive plays. That throw to KC that set up the game-winning touchdown by E.J. Smith. Right. And the 70-plus yarder to ABR, both of those came on 1st and 20. Mm-hmm. Both of those came right after holding penalties. So, those drives, that either one of those get killed via penalty, there's a real good chance you don't win that football game. So they had to come from behind the sticks on two plays that set up 14 points.
Well, and 4th and 12 from midfield is the play of the season because I don't think any of that happens if they get the ball back at midfield up 30-3.
No,
they'll probably lean on you. Sellers was hot at that point.
But Gabe, even it would have completely deflated the crowd to come out and go 3 and out, not 3 and out, but to come out and punt right away.
Well, or to miss it and then you give up it on 4th down. Right there, boom.
Yeah, but I'm saying, to give the ball back and get nothing on that drive. The crowd stayed because they wanted to believe.
That's right.
And that play made them believe.
That's right.
And was it 2 plays later?
2 plays later. Touchdown? He had a little screen out to Reuben first and then that wheel route.
But so my point is, even if South Carolina didn't drive and score, even if they had gone 3 plays and punt, now you're starting down 30-3, probably inside your 15-yard line.
Mm-hmm. Place is clearing out.
And have to go 85. Like, and so the odds of that drive working go way down. So, that play was the play of the game. If I'm looking for one play that I say saved your perfect season, that was it. And we can go into, in a second, what a loss would have meant versus what a win did mean. But what a heroic effort by this football team. What an inspiring effort. And it is certainly, as many around the country have acknowledged, it is certainly that type of game that you could go back to and go, if this team wins an SEC title, if they go on to play for or win a national title, you obviously go back and circle this one as like, hey, you showed, you played like crap for 30 minutes. You just almost like no-showed I think no one would ever say this. Athletes don't do this. I just felt like, I don't know if it was the pressure of coming home for the first time in 5 weeks and carrying that ranking and that winning streak, or if it was that it was South Carolina. And like, it shouldn't be that way because that team and that quarterback and that moron coach beat you last year. But there is something about like
he is a moron. The
Missouris, the South Carolinas, the Arkansas, Mississippi States, where it's like, it's almost like that you just don't come out, even though some of those teams I mentioned aren't any worse than LSU these last couple of years, but there's something that's just not quite there for it. If you look at how the team came out against LSU versus how they came out in some of the, I don't care what anybody says, there's something about that it's hard for these guys to learn when the team's 1-6 in the SEC. So I don't know what it was, and we'll never know, but that was not the football team we've seen all year for 30 minutes.
And then it became contagious. Some breaks go against you, then it just kind of flowed.
For sure.
The negative, downhill the wrong way.
It did.
You know, we made a movie one time about the 2012 season. And y'all may, hopefully, this team will do some stuff down the stretch that will cause you to make a movie about this season. And the climax, certainly, if this team does what we think it's going to do, is not going to be the win over South Carolina, but it'll be a chapter. And in 2012, the Ole Miss game wasn't the climax of the movie, but it was a chapter. Yeah, and without Mike Evans over Sinquez Golson, who a year or two later had 12 picks in the SEC, that dude was a stud. And to do what he did, and then 2 plays later, you had Swope in the corner. We think about Swope in the corner. But you got to think about those moments.
No.
You
got it a little wrong, though. Okay. I want to have some fun and jog your memory here.
Marcel's run was the pass to Evans.
Yeah, I agree. Saved it. It doesn't happen without it. And like you said, that season doesn't happen with it. Well, Johnny's Heisman probably doesn't happen without it on a
definitely right
on a 3-loss team, and they would have lost to a team that had lost 15 straight games in the SEC.
Exactly.
That was Hugh Freeze's first year.
Correct.
But
jog my memory.
Okay, so pass to Mike.
Yeah.
3rd and 19 or whatever.
You're right.
They literally had to review it to make sure it wasn't a safety.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you want to compare 99-yard drives.
Boom.
The Aggies had one Saturday.
Exactly right.
And that gets lost in the shuffle of all those spectacular plays.
It's a drive we should never forget.
99-yard drive, undefeated season on the line, to take the lead and cap off a 27-point comeback.
Yeah, we need to remember
That's the stuff
that.
of legend. And it started with a PI. And I'm going to tell you this, because Colin Klein had the cojones to say, we're going to drop him back in the end zone and lob one up to our receiver who's a playmaker.
That's right.
Everybody wants to talk about the call on the other goal line, and I'm sure he'd like to have that one. I don't know why I'm wearing these. Why he'd like to have that one back. But that was an incredible call down on that goal line. They got rewarded for it and went down and scored. But throw to Mike. People listening probably have already caught up and know where I'm about to go with this. Next play was a long run by Ben Molina.
Yep.
And then the next play was not the corner to Swope. The next play was Johnny down that sideline where the Ole Miss guy kind of let up. They thought had shoved the other guy had shoved him out of bounds, and he just ran it in.
And it was the
three
next
plays.
drive that was swung.
Yeah, it was
You're
three
right.
plays, 99 yards.
We needed to score twice.
Yeah, they were down. They were down by. I want to say
10.
we were down. Yeah, we were down by 10. Yeah. So they need, and then
we got a fumble or something. Was
I
it
get
Jay
confused
Stu?
on that one. One game, Tony
Stu.
Hurd had a pick. The next year, Tony Hurd had a
Oh
pick.
no, Tony Hurd clinched it after the swope in the corner on his birthday.
No.
Dang.
I think that's the next year.
Nick, help us out. Okay.
No, maybe you're right. No.
Hurd had some moments.
He had
both
a pick
years.
against Ole Miss in one of those games.
I think he had a pick in that game to seal it, Bo Wallace, after we beat him, after we hit Swope to take the lead. But I've already been wrong once
I think you might
today.
be right. No. I think you might be right, but I think it's flip-flopped.
Okay. I swear it was his birthday. Tony
Because
Hurd.
Jay Stu and Sean Porter combined, they handed it off out of the shotgun
Yeah, that's
on
right.
4th and 1, and
Okay,
they
there you
stuffed it.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know which was which. I think that came first.
Okay.
Then came the Swope touchdown, then the Hurd interception, or vice versa.
That was just simply wild.
But yeah, so
Yeah. And this had
you're
a lot
right,
of
though.
those correlations.
You're right though, because it again, it's the Bama game is the story.
Right.
The finish and the Heisman and the OU game are the story. But in this one, it's going to be the Notre Dame game and hopefully an SEC title game
And
and a
happened in
Texas
Austin.
game.
Yeah.
Like hopefully those are the story.
Mhm.
But this was none of that matters without them coming back. And let me tell you something, man. You saw Bama drop from 4 to 10. Now, I think one of the things the committee does get right is you should drop further on your second loss. You should drop completely out on your third loss in this playoff chase. It would have been A&M's first loss. I don't think they would have, just done a free fall, but I do think if you lost to a 1-6 SEC team, a 3-win team overall, I know they should have, could have, would have beat Bama. I know they gave Ole Miss all they wanted. That is important to note. Like, this team isn't terrible, and they have real players at the top. They just don't have enough of them. They don't have the O-line for it. But
No run game.
no run game. There's second. They have major weaknesses, but they have Sellers. They have Stewart, who's going to be a top 5 pick next year, if not number 1.
The other Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah,
Really good.
it's good. They've got
defensively.
They've got
Harbor.
players. The D tackle,
Mm-hmm.
but bottom line is they're 1-7 in the SEC,
Yeah.
and they're a 3-win team as we sit here today. And if you would have lost to them at home, much less if you'd have lost by multiple scores, forget a blowout. Even let's just say if the Aggies came back and lost by 10 or 14, if you lose by double digits at home to that team, they were waiting to penalize A&M, I think, pretty harshly, to the point that had you lost to Texas in Austin,
You're gripping it.
I
outside
think
of
they
your
might have
pocket.
been out of it. And I think that was
crazy.
the only world that they would have been out of it at 10-2. Would have been just back-to-back losses and one of them being a complete and total disaster, the way it happened. So that second half, I mean, look, I think they're going to go next weekend and win in Austin, and this discussion doesn't matter. But as we would have been sitting here today, you would have been going, they have to win in Austin.
Yeah.
And that was, for all you'd done up until that point, Gabe, that's not a place you wanted to be.
You better believe it, man. I mean, this guarantees at minimum an 11-win year and at worst a playoff game at Kyle Field.
Yeah.
It also guarantees you're a win over your heated rival for 150-plus years of going in there and beating the ever-living crap out of them like you should, a team that should have 5 losses right now. They're lucky as heck that they only have 3. You're a lot better than they are. They got turmoil. They're second-guessing. Bowles is asking the tough questions. We've seen this before. This is kind of where it's at.
Well,
So
Sark's
now go
answering
beat the
him
crap out of
Sark's
them.
answering him like he's Jimbo.
Yeah, he is.
He's done that
He
several
is.
times this year.
So go do what you got to do against them. And what are the spoils? Well, a 12-0 year, SEC championship game,
That
and you
very
probably
well
lock
can
up
win.
a bye in the playoff.
Probably. They've got Tech sitting there just positioned to go beat a crappy BYU team. And nobody's saying this. The Big 12 has 4 ranked teams right now. One of them is Arizona freaking State, who lost to Mississippi State, One of them are the University of Houston Cougars, who have beaten nobody.
And lost badly.
They've beaten nobody.
Yeah.
Like,
they played one team with a heartbeat, and they've lost.
But that's the way of the Big 12. And I've tried to tell my OU and Texas friends that for years.
So why doesn't the committee or these Heather or Diniches talk about their non-conference?
Because they're not good at what they do. They're
terrible.
not good at what they do. Heather Dinich is not good at what she does. I'm sorry. Like
I agree.
Anybody, and they don't have to be sitting at a desk like this. They could just be a fan that follows it closely. Could do a better job, because I just don't understand why certain people are singling out A&M and going, look who they played. Like, are we really convincing ourselves that Houston and Arizona State and BYU would fare, like, give them A&M's schedule. Let's see what they do against. Well, we saw what ASU did against Mississippi State, against Florida and that defense and that running game, against LSU in Death Valley when they were up and playing for something. By the way, even since then, what they pushed Bama in Tuscaloosa, like go play Missouri and Albert Hardy at Mizzou in that defense. Like, I'm not saying those are great teams. Go face Auburn's defense. By the way, Auburn beat Baylor. Mississippi State beat Arizona State. These are bottom tier SEC teams. Let those teams go play them, and then mix in a Notre Dame on the road. And then you see what their records are. And really ask yourself that. Like, come on. I went through and broke down who these Big 12 teams played in the non-conference. It's just completely fraudulent.
Perhaps the best team of the 4 ranked teams in the Big 12's non-conference game was Mississippi State on the road.
And they lost it.
And they lost.
With Leavitt.
Exactly.
And Jordan Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
They lost that game. Like that. It is an embarrassment what those 4 teams combined to play in the non-conference. It's an embarrassment. So
we'll beat the hell out of Texas.
Did North Carolina beat Stanford, or was that when they lost at the end? I think they beat them.
I think they beat them.
I think they lost to Cal at the end. They beat Stanford. Like,
yeah.
That's the second best non-conference team any of those 4 played.
That is just miserable.
Stupid. It's just so to not talk about that, to not talk about Indiana's schedule. Here's the thing with the Big Ten. No one's saying this either. Heather Dinich and Juracek, who looked like an ass clown, he topped how stupid Mac Rhodes sounded. I was hopeful that Juracek would at least come in there and be able to answer questions. He contradicted himself about 5 times. People kept calling him out on it. Like, how do they put these dunces at the top of these committees as the front-facing voice?
I miss Ward Manuel.
Embarrassing. Yeah, that's what I said. Ward Manuel was Sark on the SEC. Sark said on the SEC teleconference.
What did he say? Quote.
This is per se. I've had no discussion about ever going anywhere else. I came here to win championship. I've got 2 kids enrolled at the University of Texas. Hopefully a 3rd will enroll soon. My wife and I just had our son. This is our home.
Dang, I mean, did Zane ask that question? It sounded very Schlossian. I sacrificed everything to go to Austin to make $10 million a year.
That did, minus the the defensiveness.
How dare you ask that question?
That defensiveness is what tells you they're leaving. We've learned that, and we knew that while Slosh was saying it.
Yep.
It never. Well, some of us did. Others decided to dogpile and bury Richard Zane that night on our message boards for being the bad guy. When the reality is, when a coach reacts angrily and defensively, they're gone. I think that's probably actually Slosh's biggest regret was the way he answered that question. In this instance, for Sark to do that, like I believe him. I didn't know which NFL team was hiring him. I'd heard the Giants, I'd heard the Titans, but I'm like, is that the hire you made? And if he left, it would have had to have been that something was there. That he was running from just to get away, and that's where I think all those rumors start up and stuff that people are seeing and reading everywhere. And I don't care. Like, that's his personal life or it's not true, or it is. Like, I don't like the rumors about that. I'm just talking about just the facts of, like, was he or was he not quietly trying to move? I don't care the reasons. Was he or was he not? And he states pretty emphatically there that he's not. I believe him, because if he was, he didn't have to do that in that instance. He wasn't, I don't think he could have danced around it. He could, Lane Kiffin hasn't said that about Ole Miss yet. We'll talk about that in a minute.
That's fascinating. Well, I'll tell you what, it's really nice to not be a part of this year's carousel.
Zane actually said it was his opening statement.
Oh, was it
wasn't
really?
Even a question, yeah.
Interesting. But it's great to have a coach that just re-upped, that has this magic about him, right? I mean, the togetherness, the championship DNA that A&M put on display will carry them through, knowing that there's nothing we can't do now. You've won in all kinds of different ways. Now you've come back like this, the confidence it instills. But Mike Elko and this staff deserve every penny of this shiny new salary they got. He's got that ability, Billy, to identify the issues that are going on, make adjustments on the fly, while at the same time, the ability to motivate. The ability to motivate those players is something else. I mean, we thought we had a good one when we signed him. It took a year, but I'm telling you what, we're freaking lucky with this guy.
And the thing is, it didn't take a year, and that's where, to some of the Aggies, I would say, this is where, like,
we were closer.
Some during the summer and off season, it was really unfair to, like, Elko and the team, and I thought, it was unfair to, like, people. I don't care if you're, like, fair to me or not. I care enough to, like, fight back against it. That's but, like, whether it was Nuno or Olin or anybody reporting on it, like, if you weren't going out of your way to point out the negatives and the bad finish, and you weren't going out of your way to point out, like, like videos of Marcel Reed not completing passes and guys dropping ball, like, and feeding into that narrative that this wasn't going to be a good football team, it was almost like people felt like they needed to, and it became this thing to, like, kind of just give in to and say, hey, it's just nothing was different last year. We were still 8-4. That was bullshit, man. That was complete bullshit. This team was 8-4 in year one under a head coach, and as I said many times, that was the third best record of the active coaches in the SEC in year one at their school. Now it might be second, because Brian Kelly is no longer active. Yeah. Kalen DeBoer went 9-3 at Bama last year, and Mike Elko 8-4. None of the other existing coaches were 8-4 or better in year one. That's
Kirby
it.
was 7-5.
Yeah,
wow.
Zero. It was those two, and Elko was second, one game off DeBoer's pace, and they should have never lost to Auburn. But in year one, he went and on a tough schedule, that included Notre Dame, they went and beat. He had 2 top 10 wins, and I know we always like to move the target. Yeah. LSU and Missouri didn't suck last year. Mizzou was a 10-win team. I think LSU went 9-4, but when you played them, which is what everybody calls a top 10 win, whether it's week 1 or week 13,
for sure.
You won 2 top 10 games in year one as a head coach, like
while playing a freshman back,
while going back, and like they did some. There were plenty of indications last year that this thing could be really good. You looked at some of the portal additions, how they played. You looked at, like, you moved it forward, in this year's recruiting class and portal. Throughout this offseason, there were a lot of signs. Not that this team would be sitting at 10-0. But that Mike Elko was a hell of a hire and was going to do a hell of a job here.
Yep.
I just think what he's done this year is fast-tracked it, and credit A&M for handling business and getting it, getting him locked down long-term.
Huge.
They didn't go reset the market. And that's a credit to A&M learning a lesson with Jimbo, but also to Mike Elko for not trying to force them. I'm just telling you factually, I know this for a fact, and I know it through many different avenues. Penn State offered him more than what he signed here for. they would have hired him over Matt Rule. Anybody like Mike Elko wants to be here. A&M wanted him to be here. They met, figured it out. Credit everyone involved at A&M for getting it done. Credit Elko for not. I know some would say, well, look at his. He went from like the 32nd highest paid coach into the top 10.
Which is where he belongs.
It's beyond fair. It's where he belongs. But like he said in the presser, Gabe, he was doing a lot of that. Like he had leverage, and I spoke to him about like the situation. Like he had leverage, but he wasn't leveraging it for him. Money was going to come when you're the head football coach at Texas A&M. You're undefeated, and you're getting courted by other. I mean, it came for Signetti. It came for Matt Rule, who hadn't done crap. It's going to come for Lane Kiffin. Like that part
takes care of
itself. That. You don't have to worry about it. What he was worried about was like being able to retain and fairly take care of his assistants and keep together what he wants to keep together. And then I think the other part of that was I'm sure there was plenty of conversations. You'd be extremely naive if you didn't think there were a lot of conversations in terms of like things like NIL and how competitive how A&M plans to continue to remain competitive in the new world landscape. And that's the Mike Elko advantage. If you're Texas A&M, if you're an Aggie, that dude understands everything. You know how it's a moving target every day? Every single day, he knows exactly where the target's at.
Yeah.
He follows it.
He is, man.
He knows where it's going. He calls people outside of A&M. He calls that people outside of the SEC, outside of, college football even. Like he's very committed and concerned as far as keeping up with where the NIL target is at all times. So.
Well, I think that, Nick, if you'll play this quick soundbite, put your ears in real quick. This is from Coach Elko, Monday press conference. And he said something I've never heard a coach explain motivation this way. It's very impressive, discussing his need to be, quote, opposite the moment. Play this file real quick, Nick.
Because that's what we owe it to them. Like, what do you want us to do? Panic? Like, again, like this speech, I'm sure will come out at halftime, and everyone thinks this is this amazing speech at halftime. It's not. Like, we won that game 6 months ago with what we did in the winter. Like, we didn't win that game because I went in at halftime and said something. Like, we built a culture, we built a character, we built a commitment to doing things the way we want to do them back in January and February, and that's what came out in the second half. And it's not like, oh, I went in and I riled them up, and because I riled them up, they started playing. Like, that's not how this works. It just doesn't. And so, like, I have to be calm and collective. Like, my job is to be calm and collective when they're frantic. My job is to create intensity when they're not intense. My job is to always be opposite the moment. It's not to let the moment take me away. I'm the 48-year-old guy who's supposed to see this thing with clear eyes. They're the 18 to 21-year-old kids who get emotional. And so it's easy for me. It's easy for me to try to help them get through it as best I can. Now, again, I don't want to be in that situation. I'm not saying I do, but when you're in it, you got to try to figure your way out of it. And we were able to do that.
It's special. I mean, you have to have some ego in this business, right?
Yeah.
But it's also the humility there. But just the clear way that he's able to communicate motivation that's pretty special.
Just his way of explaining something like that.
Yeah.
That you can explain it to the media, the way he can explain things to his players.
Yes.
The way he can go explain things to a set of regents or donors or administrators. He's just it's a very
parents.
Yeah, parents. It's a very easy way to communicate. He is a terrific communicator, and answers questions honestly. And I told you when he did that thing with the media about what was the word he used to describe the questions? Ridiculous or stupid, whatever he said. Not to say the question was stupid.
Yeah.
But, what he was saying that day when they asked about the Penn State job, people go, you saw it around the country. Oh, radar's up. That wasn't a no. that. But that was just like that was Elko's way of saying I'm shutting this down by making it real clear that I don't like the question because it's a distraction, and I'm not going to do it every week from here on out while we're undefeated and trying to win a conference championship and reach the playoffs. So he squashed that, knowing in his head what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, probably understood like I'm trying to get stuff done around here that needs to get done for me to win a championship or compete for championships, not just this year, but over the next several years and as long as I'm here. And everybody needs to be operating under the same pressure that me and my players are, which is we got to get stuff done on Saturdays. You guys got to get stuff done to lay the groundwork for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah.
And you negate all of that if you just answer with I'm not going anywhere, damn it. Da, 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 da. He knew what was going on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it wasn't going to be out when it went out. People during the game are like, this is the most Aggie thing ever. No one at A&M, no one in Bright, no, not Trev Alberts, not the chancellor, the president, the regents, like no one wanted that contract news leaked an hour before kickoff. No one. That was a nightmare scenario. Now, with that said, they were going to release it later that day.
Yeah.
If they won the game.
Win the game, got to wait till
Sure, they all
Sanford.
thought they were going to win, but you know better than to do that right before the game. So, yeah, the timing would have been perfect. You do it right before Georgia and Texas kick off, steal some of that thunder. And like you said, you got Samford the next week, and then by the time you play Texas, it's 2 weeks old. But it was the right thing to do. I'm excited. I'm fired up.
All right, Liucci, let's get to our dog of the week. This one probably shouldn't come as much of a surprise, but dog of the week presented by Dogleg Golf, College Station's newest indoor golf simulator facility. TexAgs has got the main bay. They're the sponsor of it, and I was there for the grand opening. The place is absolutely spectacular. Now, did I hit worth the damn? Heck no, I didn't.
No.
Did I get anywhere near the best, closest to the pin contest? Well, heck no, I didn't. But the place is really, really fun. All indoor. You don't even have to walk. You just sit there and swing. And they even have a meeting room where you can just kind of go right there and take some cuts while you do it. We're getting a corporate membership. So, hey, y'all want to go golf? Instead of going and spending 5 hours at the golf course, give me an hour at Doglegs. Kind of what I'm going to do moving forward. Rain or shine, it's always tea time at Dogleg, 2551 Texas Avenue South Suite, E1 between Brown Shoe Store and 40 Tempura, right there in that corner little unit, dogleg-golf.com. I got mine, Liucci. And sometimes it's just too easy. But what's yours? Dog of the week. Will probably be the same.
Dog of the week.
Yeah.
Give me yours so I can get
Well, I mean, come on.
By the way, Lane Kiffin, I just got a text. Lane Kiffin is on that coach's call now.
Yes.
And he's doing the slosh.
Easy.
He's getting the slosh treatment from the media. And he's, as my friend from Ole Miss, she said she's listening. She's a huge Ole Miss fan. She said he is big mad right now. So maybe what I said.
That's
if
it.
they get really mad, that's when you got to watch out.
When your antennas go up. That's right.
So
right.
Dog of the week.
Well, I got to go Marcel Reed. Come on. I mean, your best player was a shell of himself early, but you give him credit. He was a killer in the second half. I mean, second half alone, we all know the stats. 16 of 20, 298, 3 touchdowns. It was the poise, though. It was the swagger, the big plays, the confidence, the leadership. I don't know what the Pulse is going to show today, but they've talked pretty openly that he was a huge catalyst in the locker room.
Have they?
Well, he has. Post-game press conference.
I heard.
Marcel talked about it.
I heard, and I don't know exactly what he said, but what I was told that he said, and I haven't asked Marcel, I guess I could, but we'll need to. I heard what he said was basically, whatever he said ended with, we're going out there to win this football game, and if you don't think we can win it, don't come out with us. And
yes,
so I'm sure he said it with a much better delivery, but that was the message. If you don't think we're winning this game, don't leave the locker room, because that's what I'm going to do, and that's what we're going to do.
He freaking did it too. What leadership this guy's showing.
Yeah, he was the dog of the week, no question about it. it's always hard not to give it to Casey Concepcion too. That dude, like when he catches the ball and just starts fighting through. So 7 for 158, and I mean, what an incredible day in ABR. But look,
I love that Reed did it with
Marcel.
Johnny right there too. He went full Magic Man.
It's Marcel,
awesome.
and it's been Marcel this year. Marcel, I think he stamped his ticket to New York.
Yeah.
I think if the season ended today, he would win a Heisman. It's within reach now. I think 2 wins by this football, or 3 wins, just counting Sanford, but winning their last 2, if they win in Austin and Atlanta, I think he gets it, because I don't think they win without him at least playing well. And if he pops off in one of those 2 games, then forget it. It's his.
All eyes on him, for sure.
He's got a real shot at it with 2 significant games remaining till that award goes out. It's incredible what he's done. My other dog of the week is a guy that's making his case to be there, and he's an actual dog, Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah. You're going outside A&M.
Yeah. To play against Texas in that setting, in that big game, and they needed it, and Texas really needed it. And dude, he keeps getting better and better. Georgia keeps looking better.
You're right.
Noah Thomas with 2 touchdowns against the Horns. That was interesting.
Noah Thomas the last 2 games.
He's coming on, yeah.
And they've coincided with Georgia getting hot.
Yeah. Again, I don't hate Noah. I thought for the whole life of me, he made a bad decision in terms of picking an offense that didn't do a lot throwing. Now look at him. So it looked like it worked out well for him and for the Aggies.
Amen, because of what ABR's doing.
And we're fine with that, and right up until we play them. Then we gotta play them and see. But Gunner's getting better and better. He's a dog. He played like one. He does it running. He does it throwing. He's clutch on 4th day. That 4th down against Texas, that 4th down throw he made against Tennessee. He should be. I don't know who you bump out to put him in. Honestly, I would put him over Julian Sayin. And I know Julian Sayin's been phenomenal, but he's got such an array of talent around him, and they've played no one. Ohio State has played Texas. Georgia has played Texas. They've played Alabama. They've played Ole Miss. They've played Tennessee. I don't know who else they've played. They've played Auburn. Some of these teams don't register, but Georgia's played a much, much tougher path. And the thing about the Big Ten, Gabe, that just sets me off is A&M, as an Aggie, it's hypocritical for me to say this, but in the terms of college football, anything outside of A&M, it's not. Ohio State doesn't play what? They didn't play what? Oregon, Iowa, Indiana.
No.
They're going to play Michigan. That's it, right?
And they may lose.
Maybe. Oregon.
They had to go to Washington, who's a fringe top 25
Fringe top 25. Yeah, that's no different than LSU, and it's really not. It's really not.
No, because no environment.
Yeah.
Missouri's better than Washington.
Yeah, so Indiana is going to have played Oregon, but not Ohio State, and not Michigan, and not who's the other one we're thinking?
They do get USC.
Oh, they're not going to play. So Ohio State. Read me the teams. Write them down. Here we go.
Ohio State.
We're taking time here. Ohio State, USC, Michigan, Oregon, Iowa,
Illinois,
and Indiana. No.
Talking about ranked teams.
Illinois. Okay. Is Illinois back in the rankings?
Yeah, Iowa's out.
Are you kidding?
Isn't that wild?
What is
At 3
Illinois
losses.
ranked now?
I don't know. I mean, they're running out of teams to rank.
Joke. I'm not even putting Illinois in. They suck.
Iowa's not even ranked.
I'm going to leave Iowa. So, fine. Even leave out Iowa for that matter. So, Ohio State did not play USC.
Nope.
Not play Oregon, not play Indiana. So, they played one of the other top 4 teams in the league.
USC.
They played one top 5 team in the conference. Okay? Now, USC, this will be a different one. They have played Michigan. They are playing Oregon. So they're going to play 2 of the 5. Indiana, Oregon, no Michigan, no USC, and no Ohio State, right?
Right.
So Indiana plays
Very
one.
weak schedule, man.
Indiana plays one of the top 5 in the Big Ten.
You know their non-conference schedule, right? Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State.
Yeah. So Ohio State and Indiana, I mean, there's no different in what they're doing versus what they say about A&M. The difference is, and you know, A&M and Ohio State at least played a big-time non-conference game. Michigan will be the one that I think has played some of these teams. No, I mean, they played USC, right?
They at least
and Ohio
scheduled
State,
OU.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to
lost.
play. I'm saying in conference, they're playing 2 of the 5, and then you get to Oregon. Who have they played? They're going to play Indiana and USC. So again, it's the watered down conference thing, and when they change the schedule, it sets you up for this stuff that, frankly, A&M is benefiting from this year as well. Although when I watched the Aggies play, I would have been fine with them throwing in a game against Ole Miss, throwing in a game against Tennessee. I like the matchup with Bama, quite frankly. So anyway.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Liucci, from Keith. This is out of Section 12. He reached out and he wanted to ask this question. On the halfback pass on the last offensive play in the fourth quarter, he's actually not being overly critical here.
Yep.
But he's saying, I am assuming Colin Klein was trying to get Marcel a Heisman moment by having a receiving touchdown. I know it didn't work, but I like giving Marcel the opportunity. If we were behind, I know he wouldn't have done it. Klein getting close, losing to Johnny, I think maybe the next best thing is for him to help his quarterback win it. Kind of disagree with this thought, but I wanted to know what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I don't think that was what he was doing. I mean,
you can't think like that, right? In that moment, you got to win the freaking game.
You could have done that if you were up 10, maybe even then, like 17. But like, no, I think what it was I think that I would have not preferred that play because of how it worked, but I would have preferred like going into the bag and something on 4th down. The way A&M had run it from the 5 to like the 3 to the 1, I would have run it one more time, just right at them. It didn't have the feel that they were really stopping you. I do wish A&M had some under center stuff for that type of running situation, but they just don't.
Let him boot it and do some stuff with his legs.
I understand that coaches, but they've been good. They've been good down there. They're going all the way back to Notre Dame. You know, they got stuffed on a goal line stand against Mississippi State, but they've been good down there. Which is why I don't think you needed to go to that play with a down to spare. But I think the thought, it had nothing to do with Marcel and a Heisman, not in a 1-point game with that much time left.
Let him run one or throw for a 4th and a half.
I think it was the fact that, you know, a lot of times we've done that and they haven't followed Marcel out there. And I don't know if he's left-handed, by the way. I don't know if he was supposed to pitch that or if he just the pressure, and that's the risk you take. You're asking a freshman running back that's not a quarterback to figure out what to do in the face of that. And the reality was you just eat it, kick the field goal, and go up by 4.
I would get it if EJ did it because he's a veteran.
Yeah, but he's not a lefty, and I don't know if that was, like I'm saying, I don't know if that was going to be a pitch. But anyway,
I'd love to know the rationale.
It was a disastrous play. Well, the rationale had nothing to do with getting him a Heisman, I can assure you that.
Right.
I think they thought there might be a chance that that's easy pickings. But when it wasn't, I think that's when the running back should just run it, see what you can get. But that's a split decision.
Yeah.
Bad call. Didn't cost you the game.
Yeah. Thank
Doubt
God.
we'll see it again.
Right.
Probably had been setting that up for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so you just hope that it's it was almost a game losing disaster, but it wasn't.
There are wins and learns, W's and L's, and I'm glad this learn came in a win.
Colin Klein coached his ass off in that football game. Too. That second half was, and there were plays to be had, by the way, there in the first half too. Credit South Carolina for getting, I think they won a lot of battles up front. Keep in mind, something we haven't mentioned too, and it does not justify going down 30-3, but I was concerned there might be some first half struggle, particularly for the defense, because you had a new offensive coordinator and a bye week to prepare.
They dialed up some razzle dazzle.
Those two
early.
things had me going, yeah, that could be a little, it could come into play here. Not to the tune of 30-3, but maybe to the tune of a tight game at the half. So there was a lot going on. And they overcame all of it. Klein did, Marcel did, the defense did, the receivers, the whole team.
You overcame Beamer.
Beamer couldn't overcome himself.
No, he couldn't.
How
I
about
heard you call
him?
that AI, and it really did look like he was flailing his arms like a 10-year-old.
How about
Amazing? He had won that game
he's
at
going
halftime.
he was like this.
Yeah.
Like it was the weirdest looking. Like, what is he doing?
Oh, Beamer ball, man. He just can't help himself.
He can't.
He really
and he's so
can't.
arrogant. It's like such a little man's complex or inferiority for no reason that he.
Yeah.
Why did you have to just scoff at that team at the end of the first quarter and say, with
We
this
did this
hand
last
motion,
year.
we beat these guys by 24 points last year. We beat these. Like, what is it about you that you have to keep reminding people of that? Like, you didn't get enough credit. Clearly, you think you didn't get enough credit or flowers or adulation for that win. So I get like, hey, I'm mad because they're favored over us and we beat their ass last year. That has to do with everything that your team has done this year, Beams. It had to do with what your team has done this year versus what A&M's done this year. That point spread, you guys being the heavy underdogs, not being talked about, had everything to do with your lack of performance and A&M performing. It had zero to do with anything about that game from last year. So the fact that he could be up 17-3 after a quarter and be that concerned that he had to feel the need to point out what they did a season ago in this game was just like, it's like, get over it, man, and finish the game. That stunt he pulled going in that locker room is the type of stunt that like it like tends
Stays
to
with you, right?
define your
Yep.
tenure when when it's over with. You go, that's why he got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Not because of that, but those actions, those antics, that level of stupidity and bravado, what do you call it? Premature bravado. That's why
Yeah.
in
We got
everything
Bourne on
he's
third
done,
base.
in everything he's done.
Yeah. I
Remember the
100%
LSU
agree.
game last year? Then there was this year the Alabama game, this year the A&M game, and there was a lot more of that prior.
Absolutely.
So
blowing leads, things like that.
Yeah.
All right, Billy. Buy, sell, rent, presented by 12 Oaks Reserve and all
By the
new
way,
master plan.
don't forget his antics. We
Luxury
can't keep
community.
wait, hold on. We can't do that yet when we're talking Beamer.
I know.
We're acting like that bowl game against Illinois didn't happen last year.
Right.
You don't remember that? Where
He
they
blew a
look
big
like
lead this year to somebody.
You don't remember that when they look like the meme of him and he looked like the meme of the cat and the. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The girl from Parks and Rec yelling at the cat, and the cat that was.
Yeah.
You got when we're done, we got to look that up. Nick, look up. See if you can find that image. It's the cat and the girl from Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Side by side with Beamer yelling at Bielema there in the bowl game last year. We're going to keep talking. Look for that.
Yeah.
Please find it because it's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the
it's so
same
good.
guy that did that. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
show.
Get Beamer and Pawnee, and we'll see what happens. All right. 12 Oaks Reserve is an outstanding community coming to West Bryan next to traditions. Colonial plantation-style architecture, only 32 spacious and thoughtfully planned home sites. This is really, really going to be a hot community in 2026. Bach, I'm telling you something that the whole public doesn't quite know yet. We hadn't even started marketing it. Bach Realty Groups handle all the sales for us, so reach out to us. Go to 12oaksreserve.com. And thanks to so many of you who already have done that since we've started promoting it. Looking around, you've kind of started expanding it, which is fun, outside of just the SEC when you want, but SEC or otherwise, who are you buying this week?
I talked about Georgia.
That's what my pick was.
I'm buying them.
They look
I'm
good.
buying them as the primary. If you're saying who's the best team in the SEC, at one point the discussion was A&M Bama. I think the discussion now is A&M Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think it includes Ole Miss.
You don't want to see them in the postseason like people didn't want to see Ohio State as an 8 seed last year.
Yeah, they're getting that feel to them.
Yep.
they've had that passing game, that running game starting to go. We mentioned Noah starting to be a red zone weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And Gunnar Stockton's really playing well. I still question their defense a little bit. I know, look, they held Texas to 1 touchdown, 10 points. I keep telling you, maybe that's a red flag for Texas. They thought they got that offense figured out against Vandy, and then Vandy went and gave up like 40 to Auburn and their backup quarterback. Like, I still think the Texas fans are sipping a little arch Kool-Aid that really isn't there. Although I will say he's improved a ton, but offensively, I still they managed 1 touchdown in Athens. They struggled for 3 quarters on offense against a Mississippi State team that everyone's just destroying.
We go out about 5 drops.
And they scored 1 touchdown against Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still a little skeptical on Georgia's defense, but I'm buying them as a football team.
All right, selling.
I'm selling Bama.
Amen.
And
that was
you know me. You know what I've thought of them. And there's still an excellent chance that A&M plays them in Atlanta. And I like the Aggies' chances in that football game. I just think, I'll keep this short. When the best thing you've got is your quarterback and receivers, and the tight end's really good too.
Mm-hmm.
When that's the best thing you've got, and that's your best weapons to win football games, that can be negated and neutralized by putting you into 2nd and 3rd and long situations and letting teams that can get after the quarterback, a.k.a. Oklahoma, a.k.a. A&M. You can neutralize that advantage by making them play behind the sticks. And then I pivot over to I don't trust Bama's O-line or running game. I think that those 2 areas have been weak. And I think their defense is a good defense, but it's not a great defense. So I'm selling them as a national title contender.
Yeah, I know they beat Georgia and they did it in Athens, but they're kind of going in a polar opposite direction from them right now. Mm-hmm. Pretty unimpressive in 4 of their last 5 games. They weren't great against Mizzou. They weren't great at South Carolina. Could have lost those games. Should have lost to LSU.
Should have lost to South Carolina.
If Frank had played Van Buren from the start, they'd probably lose the game. He's got a little more juice. Clearly their starters hurt.
Well,
of course, they struggled
bottom
against
line,
OU.
they were in a very close game with LSU. They were in an even closer game with Missouri. Mizzou had the ball driving past midfield for a game-winning field goal. Was that game tying or game-winning at the time? I think it might have been tying. But and then obviously the game against South Carolina, they were down 8 with like no time left there, it seemed.
Yeah, exactly. And tell you what, wouldn't put it past Durkin, who's coaching for a job, whether it's there or someplace else. And he's got him motivated. Like, he's saying all the right things.
At Jordan-Hare at night. And Bama fans I'm friends with know they're way more concerned about that game than I am.
But I'm rooting for Bama. You know why? I'd rather play Bama than Georgia. I'm rooting for us, and I'm rooting for Bama.
I'm with you. I think Georgia's better. I think Georgia's tougher to beat, but
in Atlanta,
I'd be kind of fired up about either. Yeah, even like go in there and play the dogs. Play Kirby.
I want to play the game.
I know, but I'm saying like that would fire me up so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think like if you're saying A&M to win an SEC title, I think if they could get by Texas and Bama, either way.
Tickets would be a little harder to come by, wouldn't it? If Georgia wins.
Either way. Yes, but Bama's still going to.
2 hours away, sure. Yeah.
But if A&M goes into the playoffs and your season includes wins over Notre Dame and South Bend, touchdown Jesus, in Death Valley at night, at DKR to turn Texas into Texas 8-4.
Oh man!
And against Alabama or Georgia in Atlanta, it's like, and you couldn't even have dreamed that up. Work to do.
War Eagle. I changed my mind.
Yeah.
All right, rent.
I'm going to rent. You going to rent Petrino?
I'm going to rent Taylor Green. He's the best player on the field. I think Texas is going to lose.
Well, here's the deal. The best player on the field Saturday is going to be Taylor Green or Colin Simmons.
Yes.
And for Texas' sake, it better be Colin Simmons because he's the only one that's going to be able to stop that guy. You just want me to be able to use that tweet, don't you? Petrino greater than Sark that I took
awesome.
so much hell for over the years.
I can't wait. Come on, I'm rooting for it.
I'm renting Ole Miss. I'm still like amidst all the turmoil and chaos and Lane Kiffin doing Lane Kiffin things. I like Trinidad Chambliss. They're good on defense. They have a great running back. Their offense is still tough. You know, their one loss was a shootout where they were up 2 scores in Athens against Georgia. So they're really good, but they play enough close games and have these moments. You know, people talk about A&M. Like, did y'all bail on Ole Miss when they barely beat Washington freaking State?
Should have lost.
They barely beat LSU, an LSU team that A&M throttled. They barely beat Florida this weekend. Then A&M won by 17. I know they scored late to go up 10.
Oh, it was much closer.
That was a 3-point game late in the fourth.
Lagway went full Lagway there late.
They also struggled with South Carolina. Like,
that's right.
I'm not buying them, but I'm renting them because look, they just keep winning. And I think they got a winner at quarterback, and I think Lane's a really good coach, except when he gets crazy on the 4th downs.
All right, that's buy, sell, rent. Let's do Easton's Corner. He's got an interesting question that we have not hit yet for Billy, and it involves special teams. Easton's Corner, his takeaway on the wild comeback against South Carolina.
This is Easton's Corner, and we were down 30-3 at halftime and scored 28 unanswered points to beat South Carolina by 1. It wasn't pretty. We had a great second half, but to start off, the first half was absolutely brutal. I mean, Marcel was playing terrible. He should have had like 6 picks in the first half. Our offensive line was doing terrible. Casey had a couple drops, which was not like him. He had that wide open touchdown that he dropped. I mean, no one did anything in the first half. There was not a standout player to me at all in the first half. Like, no one, I would have said, well, they did good. No one. Second half, though, I would say every single person did good. Everyone did their job. Casey finished with 158 receiving yards on 7 catches. No touchdown. Should have caught that 1 touchdown. ABR, 136 receiving yards on 76-yard, big catch, clutch touchdown. I mean, that was a great catch. Then you have Isaiah Williams. I think he was playing for Bussy or Mario Craver because he was hurt. But Isaiah Williams, of all people, gets the first touchdown of the game. Marcel plays like the front runner for Heisman in the second half like he always does. 439 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 turnovers. Not the best game, but... Now, Samford, I want to see a lot of Miles O'Neal. I don't want to see a lot of Marcel Reed. I want to see him in the first half, nothing else. I want to be beating them by 40 in the first half, and then just nothing else. I want to see a lot of ABR. I want to see a lot of Terry Bussey. I want to see a lot of Isaiah Williams and a lot of Jamarian Morrow. My question for you, Billy, is does Mike Elko give Randy Bond one more shot against Samford, or do they switch it to the 5th-year senior in Zirkle, who missed an extra point at the start of the season and has only made 2 field goals his whole career as a 5th-year senior?
Tough call. What do you think?
Tough situation, tough question. I think they'll stick with Bond.
Okay.
I do need to kind of ask around this week. This would seem like a week you could make a move right before, but I think they'll stick with Bond and his experience. He's been so inconsistent, has not had a good year. Those 2 kicks were really important. It's hard sometimes when it's not like a total spiral to go away from someone with that much experience in the moment, over the last couple of years. But yeah, he has certainly underperformed this year. That position. I said the other day, it's make or miss, man. It ain't hard to evaluate and break down. It's are you making them or are you missing them? And
That's right.
That's
pass fail.
right now. It's been too many misses for comfort. But I don't think they benched Zirkle because of a missed PAT. I think he was hurt. Yeah, but he's healthy now. But now it's like we're at the very end. That would be a really interesting storyline if a national title contender all of a sudden changed kickers just before the postseason. I'm not saying it's out of the question. I'm saying I haven't heard anything about that happening yet.
No truth to the rumor that Alex Rodriguez's bobblehead came off in absolute disgust from Easton at somewhere along the way, but he did want to hurl himself off of Kyle Field. I'll tell you that much.
Did he break the head off the ball?
No, that's no truth to that. That one was broken a long time ago, probably from something the Rangers did. I don't know. There's an Alex Rodriguez bobblehead over Easton's shoulder in the video, and the head sitting over there. Kind of like you're in my bobblehead feet when our knees get cut off for bad gambling debts on our two Bombers bobbleheads.
Yep.
I don't think there's a single bobblehead of either one of us that's still upright. If you can tweet one of us and you still have a bobblehead,
I have.
We'll honor you.
There's a couple of them there, but those things do break.
Yeah, they do. All right. Samford. Oh, look at this. Here, look at that. There you go. They're yelling at the cat.
I mean,
is that Kate Hudson?
Is that? I thought it was. It might be. Isn't that amazing though? It looks just like. I mean, it is the same. It's so great. Sometimes Twitter is it's incredible what they find and think of.
He's like angry Drinkwitz.
Yeah,
he's just as dorky. Mm-hmm. But he was born on third base, and I think he's got a complex about it.
Yeah, I think he does.
He'll never be Frank. I'm sorry, Shane. You won't. You only have that job because your dad's Frank.
Yeah, and it's fine. Opinion. Like I think he's done an all right job there, but I think all right can only last so long before people get tired of it.
Yeah, Shane Smith been out yesterday.
Yeah,
or over the weekend.
Yeah,
Shane Beamer still got the job.
Started a band.
Oh yeah, the Saints. Right. Shane Smith and the Gamecocks. Yeah. All right, excellent. What's one thing you got to see Saturday? 11 o'clock, Sanford. They're 1-10. This is their last year.
I think hopefully just a lot of fresh faces and. Like Easton was saying, you just go out there and handle this team early. It's a benefit, but it's also like it's tricky in that Pecluda over there in Indiana, Fernando Mendoza threw 6 touchdown passes against one of those joke teams they played in the non-conference.
Yeah.
Arch Manning, he's not up for the Heisman, but they keep trying to trot out his comparative numbers against people. He accounted for 5 or 6 touchdowns against Sam Houston, who's one of the very, very, very worst teams in Division I. And by the way, guess who they beat?
Sanford.
Oregon State.
Oh, did they
who's
really?
On? I think so. Who's on Texas Tech's schedule?
Oh, yeah, true.
So, and I think maybe even 2 of those Big 12 team schedules. So,
wow.
Yeah. So. It's the balancing act of so what I want to see is them to come out and where the good players play really well. You get some numbers, you get these guys out of here to where the narrative is, in one half of play, the Aggies did this. And then you let a lot of these young players see a half of action. And some of whom you're going to see a lot of guys in the second half that could still play key roles for you this season, guys that already have. Think about some of the names on the backup level that don't play a lot, but have come up big at times this year. Isaiah Williams, Noah McHale.
Oh, yeah.
Big
TFL against LSU.
Marco Jones plays more, and he's more of just part of that regular rotation but maybe him. I want to see the young D tackles, Sanders and Rank.
Give me a little Julio Humphrey.
TK Norman. Let me see TK Norman. Mm-hmm. Humphrey, he's still a key part of this as a backup corner there.
Yep.
I want to see a lot of these younger guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Safeties. Miles Davis. Let's see him. So there's quite a few I want to see kind of play. You want to see those young O linemen. Miles O'Neill. There's a lot a lot that you ought to enjoy being able to watch on Saturday.
Well, we're number 1 in the country in sacks, and they're last in FCS in sacks allowed. So I remember when Miles Garrett had about 5 sacks against UTSA.
He had 4 or 5 in that game.
Yeah, I'd like to see a pretty nice half of football from Cassius to keep padding stats as he's trying to win a Lombardi here.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
That'd be really cool.
You'd love to see him maybe take the national lead this weekend.
Yeah,
he is,
possible.
And maybe put the SEC lead out of reach. He's 2.5 up on Colin Simmons. He is 1 sack behind Texas Tech's David Bailey for the national lead. He's 1 sack behind Miles Garrett, so he's a sack and a half from passing Miles for the most by an Aggie in the last decade. There's a lot of interesting things he's doing. And I want to all these stats. I want to see where A&M stands after 13 games, a normal season. If Mario Craver, what stinks is I don't think you'll see. I don't know where he'll be on the injury report, but there seems to be no real reason to play him. He came in and kind of was banged up, came out of that South Carolina game, and you really want and need him for Texas. So it's kind of like
give Isaiah 4 quarters.
It sucks though, because I do want to see. There's a real chance, and if A&M keeps playing, it's going to happen anyway. But there's a real chance for both of those guys to be at 1,000 yards. So
that's right. Yeah, I love that.
Has that ever happened? Did that happen with Swope and Evans or Josh and Christian?
Yeah, Josh and Christian.
They both had 1,000.
Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, 2016.
Okay. Because Christian only had 1,000-yard year.
Sophomore year, I think. I mean, I could be wrong. Look, I've been wrong many times on
Just
this show
in this
today.
show, yeah.
I know.
Why don't we check that, Nick?
Yeah.
And get back. It doesn't matter, though.
No,
the point is the point. We're just having fun with it. And we're having a lot of fun
Nick,
with this season.
Okay, we're gonna vamp until he finds out.
Okay.
So here it is. So Josh Reynolds had 1,039 receiving yards that year. Christian Kirk had 928, so just short.
So they hadn't done it since Swope and Evans. Or did Swope even
Did Swope and Evans do it?
Man, that's been a while then.
Did Swope and Evans do it? If Swope and Evans didn't do it, it's never happened.
Right. No, not back then.
They didn't do it, no. Mike Evans was a 1,000-yard receiver. Swope had 913.
So that's amazing.
And look, again, if they get to more than 13 games, it's kind of like the NFL when they keep expanding the season. But it's still, and by the way, they've played 10. They've got 3 left. KC should have 3 left. Mario should have 2 left before we get to 13.
That's
impressive. They're going. If they beat Texas, they're going to play a minimum of 14.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
Anyway,
very interesting.
Exciting to watch.
Very much is, Liucci. All right, episode 13 in the books. Meet us right back here next week, TexAgs.com/live. TexAgs YouTube every Wednesday.
The return of Ethan Fisher.
Exactly. Yeah, Ethan Fisher's going to be here this week.
You know what? That's cool. That's actually a cool story.
Went to high school here. Learn how to kick here.
Spent 5 years, 6 years here.
Yep.
In his childhood.
Yep.
I always like Ethan. I root, we all root for him. Mm-hmm. But for the obvious reasons in his battle that he's fighting every day. But
for sure.
Also he's just good. He was, I say kid, he's getting old now, he's in college, but just good energy. Players loved him at 2 different schools.
Yeah, that's right.
He's an inspiring dude.
He really is. Playing college football.
I look forward to hopefully seeing him shaking his hand after the game.
Yep. Very, very cool. Yep. All right, Aggies and Bulldogs this week. Next week, we're breaking down A&M Texas Thanksgiving edition of the Looch Bock TexAgs podcast. Let the good times roll. Enjoy your weekend at Kyle Field, and we'll see you next week.